Bonjour, hola, hello, guys. Adventus here. Earlier today, I made a video about what happened on January 6th and what my thoughts on it were, and yada yada yada. But more importantly, I read basically the essay extra credit that I did for ELA, and I said in that video that I stutter, and for some reason my grammatical suggestions were turned off, which I found out today. So I fixed it up, and now I'm going to do a clean read of it. So hopefully I will do no mistakes again. Let's get on with it. On January 6, 2021, protesters were reported outside the Capitol. The following statement forces you to imagine only a peaceful protest if you are without prior knowledge of the event. However, the protesters involved were a mob of Trump supporters with military-grade weaponry. The supporters made their way onto the center floor of the Capitol building. The protest resulted in many injured, including one woman, although she was later reported dead. It was repeatedly said that Trump encouraged these protesters via Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. It might seem ridiculous for such a fundamental role such as a president to use social media in such a vile manner. Although, social media is practically available to everyone, including those who are simple-minded, closed-minded, and overall negative people. The internet is made so that everyone has a group or bubble to fit in with. Unfortunately, when the simple-minded and closed-minded people are all together, with no opposing views in their bubble, then only malicious chaos will be born. Trump used social media, mostly Twitter, to spread false claims of the election. This is only the lighter that caused the spark of mayhem. The spark was the event that started to destroy democracy in America. In all honesty, the attack was not just an attack by angry Trump supporters. These attackers might as well be considered terrorists. Some of them might as well be considered Nazis from the pro-Holocaust attire, such as shirts that say 6MWE, which stands for 6 million wasn't enough. These protesters were terrorists that committed a domestic terrorist attack on the Capitol with military-grade weapons and zip ties. They broke many crimes. There were a lack of defense around the inside and out, and even when the police did arrive, they were practically useless. They made a mockery of what is already a flawed police system by taking pictures willingly with the terrorists, and did not use even close to the amount of force that they used for BLM movements. To put into perspective, BLM protests were peaceful from the beginning, in which some were escalated by corrupted police and other instigators. January 6th was comprised of a coup terrorist attack that was intended to be violent. The BLM protests were completely surrounded by police, whose first instinct was to use violence. January 6th barely consisted of any police, and the few ones that were there were honestly a joke. The BLM protests resulted in at least 20 deaths and over 14,000 arrested. January 6th resulted in 1 death and little to no one arrested. Although both events were tragic in one way or another, January 6th was the most clear way of seeing white privilege as well as racial inequality rising immensely by Trump. If for some reason anyone had any doubt of white privilege in America, January 6th is a perfect example of it in its prime. It was said that Trump was a sociopath. He was repeatedly seen as manipulative, aggressive, impulsive, and initiates and risk-taking behaviors. The reality states that in the 2016 election, between two evils, the eligible voters elected the evil that is a borderline sociopath, or rather, psychopath. He shows supposed official charm to those who do not listen to reason, but rather stay in their minuscule fantasy. He repeatedly tries to use his intelligence to manipulate events to his favor. He is often seen having poor judgment for the fact that he only takes away rights from those who have not even close to becoming equal to those similar to him. Trump has not learned the important lesson of defeat with dignity, a trait that most children learn around high school or younger. He felt no remorse for inciting the coup attack on the Capitol, but instead he indirectly praised them. Trump has such an overdose of self-worth that even before the elections were called, announced that, end quote, if I do not win, then the election is rigged. During the 2016 election, I was not a Trump supporter, but I was trusting in adults. I had blind faith in adults. When it was announced that Trump won, I decided to trust Trump for the fact that what I thought were reasonable adults elected him. These last 4 years have taught me two things. One, that adults have become so condescending of children that it resulted in them to have such high of an ego that they make more half-witted decisions than children do. Two, that even though I have blind faith in others, I would much rather be blindly faithful than blindly hateful. The terrorists who stormed the Capitol building were covered by blind hatred. I want to see the good in others because in life and in law, you cannot justify your actions without reason. If you are filled with blind hatred, then you are more likely to participate in impulsivity, therefore, not having reason to justify your actions. In conclusion, January 6th did not happen in vain. Many people against Trump have another reason to be against him. Many Republicans, including the vice president and many Republican senators, retracted their statement for objecting the electoral 2020 election. Many of Trump's workers have resigned, and those who support Trump may have power and weaponry, although these kinds of supporters are dying out in numbers. Trump is losing his power and control at a rapid rate. He will soon see true defeat, whether we will have to use force or not. I am finally starting to see humanity starting to actually see common sense for others, apart from thinking about themselves. And that is it. If my voice started to get shaky in that video, it's like I said, I'm bad at reading like aloud. It's just like maybe it's the fact that I've been stuck here for like 11 months, almost 10 months, and like I'm legit starting to like become worse at reading. So if my voice is shaky, then yeah. And believe it or not, this is about my fifth take doing this because I messed up a lot. So one, this video is for me, just like I have a clear reading. If for some reason I accidentally delete it and I can't find it because that's happened before. But this is also in case anyone who wants to, I don't know, hear it. I don't know. But we're just gonna end this off with the outro. So yeah. Be Adventist. Strategic peacefulness is key to victory. And don't let the bigots get in the way. Peace out.